There's so many things that if you really take a moment and sit back and like realize the problems that we have, are because we're at a different level. Like,
it's time for bookkeeping, beer, and BS. I still have my downs, and I'm sure everybody else does. And it just reminded me of, it took me like right back to 4 years ago when I was just feeling this pressure and this stress, and I couldn't run away from it fast enough. I couldn't get out of it, and I didn't really know what to do. But I have 100 employees that expect me to have all the answers, and just the weight of all that stuff. So I wanted to like reminisce and tell some stories about just times where we've been there. I think stories and experiences are where like we learn the best from one another. Have you guys been in that situation? Do you guys have any stories that come to mind where you're just like, oh shit, yeah, like way back then when I was doing this, or here I was just last week I was working on this stuff? Anybody been there recently where we're like
8 hours ago? Literally, I've just been overwhelmed. We've had all these jobs that we got to just get scheduled and booked and stuff, and other stuff's just blowing up, and people aren't doing what they need to do. And I told my Andy, my right hand man, I was like, I gotta run to Sam's Club. Like I get out of my car, I'm like I had to let out that energy outside so I didn't scare our new office.
Words you don't even want to say on radio.
Yeah, no, words that we'd probably, whatever. But and then I go down to Sam's Club, I'm getting lunch, and like the whole time I'm walking around, like I really like need to let out more anger just so it's not bottled inside. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm looking right now, but I feel like I'm kind of staying fairly composed, and I right now want to just like destroy stuff everywhere. And then finally,
did you walk past a mirror and you see like the Hulk in the mirror and you're like, oh no,
yeah,
I'm about to snap?
No, I definitely I bottle that all in. Like I internalize a lot of it. And obviously, yes, some of it's going to come out towards people that are frustrating us in those moments. But
your wife when you get home and you're like, I don't know why I'm so mad at you, but I'm just mad and I couldn't let it out at work. So sorry. Here it comes.
Yeah. No, funny story that I came home one time. It was probably about 2 or 3 years ago, and it just been one of those just crappy days. And I don't just come home and then go out to the bar to drink by myself or anything like that. I was like, hun, it's been a day. I want to go out. We have this place called Specific Gravity, lots of good high ABV beers and stuff. And we get our stuff. And fortunately, my youngest is like, Dad, I have to go to the bathroom. Okay. And he's the kind of kid that's going to then need somebody to go to the bathroom. It's a single room. Fortunately, I don't have a sense of smell, but then he proceeds to talk to me for about 10 minutes. Unfortunately, I brought my beer in with me, and I'm just stuck in this bathroom with my like 4-year-old, 5-year-old son, and he's just blah, 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 blah. I have 4 poops left, Dad. Like my wife has paid the check and boxed up all of our food, and I'm like, I was gonna have another beer, but I've been stuck in here and I couldn't like open the door because the kid's just sitting there doing it. It's like, all right. This is, and realize too, in these situations where we're so mad about it all, like realize I left work today. I have 2 different sales cars in my truck that I can just go leave in at any point in time. Like there's so many things that if you really take a moment and sit back and like realize the problems that we have are because we're at a different level. Like we're dealing with different problems, but we've got options instead of having no options and having a whole lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
So
Jason's giving you a lot of the angry, shaky face, but I think maybe he fell asleep and his thumb is just stuck on his phone because he's been sending them for about the last 2 minutes. Jason Guyman's on. He's just the angry, shaky face. But now he's laughing. Yeah. Chad Jones in the house. What's up, Chad? I think you're right too. I have found the more employees we have, the more it weighs on me. And there's like the point where you get a layer of cushion where your employees can solve all those problems. But there's also a point where you have a bunch of employees, and even with a little bit of a layer or two, the problems still kind of roll to you. I had Mike Dahlke on my late night happy hour show a few weeks ago, and he was like, he does a lot of investments. And he's kind of stopped investing in smaller businesses. He said, we really only look for $5 million or more because it's way harder to run a 1 million or 2 million or $3 million business than it is to run a $15 million business. It's way easier to run a bigger business because you have the people in place, you have the infrastructure in place, and those people are there for a reason. And they've usually been there for a reason, and you don't get to $15 million like overnight by accident. And so they've stopped looking for the smaller companies because of how hard they are to run and how many problems. And I feel like I've got 5 businesses collectively. We'll probably do around like 4 million. So I average less than $1 million of business. And after he said that, I was like, shit, man, I got some problems.